Hey guys, Coach PJ here. Just wanted to take a few minutes to talk to you a little bit about nutrition, how you can set up your nutrition plan to help you with maybe your New Year's goals or just your long-term goals if weight loss is something. And I can even touch on weight gain or maintenance as well if that's helpful. We want to make sure that we are providing enough calories, enough fuel to fuel your performance, but not to fuel excess body fat. So typically, with the new year, people start reflecting about the past year. Maybe you started CrossFit because you wanted to lose weight, and many of us find that in CrossFit, we get stronger, we get faster, we're in better shape, we breathe better, but not everybody loses the weight they want to lose, and typically it's because we're not doing the work outside the gym. So in the gym, we can burn a few hundred calories, but if we go home and we eat that few hundred calories more, we're not going to lose the weight. So nutrition is the base of the CrossFit pyramid. If weight loss is a goal, if performance, if health is a goal of yours, focusing on nutrition is probably one of the most important things you can do. And I just challenge you right now to take a moment to self-reflect and think about, am I doing the work that I should be on my nutrition, or am I coming up short? Am I leaving some room on the table? So quickly what I did, I had a jiu-jitsu tournament this last Saturday. I decided to enter it 3 weeks prior. I weighed like 166, and there was a weight class that was 162.5, or I could go up to another weight class that was like 175. I would rather wrestle with guys who are 162 than 175, so it was important for me to make sure I made weight. That weight class was 162.5, wearing shorts, wearing a rash guard, it's basically a shirt. And also you weigh in like 10 minutes before you go on the mat to wrestle. So there's not really an opportunity to like dehydrate or, eat less and then, fuel afterwards. You basically gotta be, that's the weight. So I wanted to do it smart. So I started planning 3 weeks out, and 6-7 pounds. If I was 166, I wanted to wake up at like 159, 160. That way I could, have breakfast, I could eat some carbohydrates, I could have some fuel, some liquids, I could go in feeling good and not like starve, not, malnourished and, angry, that type of stuff. So I wanted to look at, as much time as possible to do a smart cut, not so much like a drastic, dehydration type of thing, sauna. That's not my jam, right? Now I looked at it, can I lose 6, 7, 8 pounds in 3 weeks? Yeah, I think that is reasonable. Generally 1 to 2 pounds per week of weight loss is a rate that is sustainable and can be kept off long term. When we start seeing 3, 4, 5 pounds of weight loss a week for long term, we're going to lose a lot more muscle. Our performance is going to tank. We're not going to be happy. We're going to be hungry all the time. We're going to be a lot more likely to relapse and gain a lot of that weight back. So I figured 2 pounds a week, that's 6 pounds in 3 weeks. The reality is though too, just simply eating a little bit less, you've got less food in your stomach, you've got a little bit less carbohydrate in your body, all those things carry water. So I knew that just simply reducing what I ate, I would lose a couple pounds immediately just from that. And that's not body fat loss, it's just like what's in your body. You lose a little bit of water when you first start a diet, so you might lose like 4 or 5 pounds, 3 pounds, something like that your first week, and then things slow down, and I figured that was reasonable. What I did first was I calculated my calorie goals for weight loss. I calculated the protein that I wanted to have, and then I tracked everything I ate on a pen and paper throughout the week. But we had Christmas, and we also had New Year's in that time frame. So I scheduled in relaxed days on Christmas Eve, Christmas morning, and New Year's Eve. I wanted to be able to enjoy those a little bit, and I figured that would be a good opportunity to kind of recharge and refuel, reset, and then go into the week a little bit stronger. So that's kind of the basis of it. I'll go into the math of how I did it, but that's how I structured it up. Is I had a calorie goal. I made sure I got enough protein. I tracked it. I wrote down everything I ate. At the end of the night, if I was under, I made sure I ate enough. If I was kind of cutting close, I would make sure I write it down before I had any like evening snacks, anything like that. So a couple things we need. First, we need your basal metabolic rate. If you guys do an in-body here, we can calculate that immediately based on your height, your weight, your age, gender, body fat percentage, lean body mass. It'll calculate basal metabolic rate. You can also go onto Google and look up a BMR calculator, and there'll be a calculation called Mifflin-St. Jeor. There's a few different ones where you can just plug in your numbers and it'll calculate a BMR for you. We also need an activity factor. So my BMR, according to the InBody, was 1722, so 1722 calories. The BMR is the number of calories that you need each day to sustain your vital organs, all that stuff, if you are in a coma. So you haven't left the bed for weeks, you're not moving at all. So BMR is not really what we use for your needs, it's just a starting point. We need to adjust that for an activity factor. Most people who are training here like 3-4 days a week are going to be between 1.4 and 1.6 for an activity factor. I generally just start with 1.5 for people. It's a good starting point. For me, I'm working out here 4 days a week. I do jujitsu 3-4 days a week. I take dogs for walks, that type of stuff. I'm pretty active, so I chose the 1.6 for myself, just going on the higher end. So to calculate how many calories you need to maintain your weight, you multiply BMR times activity factor. So I multiply 1722 by 1.6. Maintenance equals BMR by activity factor. 1722 times 1.6 equals 2755. So theoretically, I need 2,755 calories per day to maintain my weight and to fuel my activity. If I had that every day, theoretically, I wouldn't gain or lose weight. Now, those numbers aren't always perfect, so it's a starting point. We adjust from there, but that's just my general starting point, right? Now, to calculate weight loss, we take your maintenance and we're going to subtract 500 to 1,000. If we subtract 1,000 calories per day, we should equate to about 2 pounds of weight loss per week. If we do 500 calories, that's going to equate to roughly 1 pound of weight loss per week. So if I take that 2755 and I subtract 500 from it, I get 2255. If I subtract 1,000 from it, I get 1755. So my calorie range for weight loss was 1755 to 2255. Hey, I just went right in the middle for 2,000. So again, we've always got ranges for everything. Had I used 1.5 as a calculator, the numbers would have been a little bit lower. Maybe it would have been like 1,900, 2,000 again. If you're off by 100 calories, it's not the end of the world. I just don't want to be going into a diet trying to eat like 1,400 calories and starving myself. So 2,000 calories per day was my starting goal for calories. Now I want to get my protein. So for protein, most people I like 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. I started roughly 170 pounds. I was a little bit lean on the beginning side. I wasn't like crazy lean. I've got kids, I've got snacks in the house, so I'm not as lean as I was 10 years ago, but I'm still relatively lean. So I went ahead and went with the 1 gram per pound of body weight. That's important because it helps me to try to prevent muscle loss, reduce how much muscle we lose while we're losing weight. It also just kind of helps you feel full and what's called satiety. When you eat protein with a meal, it tends to make you feel full for longer, stabilize blood sugars, lots of good stuff, right? If you know that you've got a little bit higher body fat, maybe 30%, 25%, something like that, maybe go with 0.8 grams per pound because you're not eating to sustain as much muscle, your entire weight isn't muscle, that type of thing. So I went with 1 gram per pound of protein, which was 170 grams of protein. So now I've got 2,000 calories, I've got 170 grams of protein. What we have left is carbs and fat, and they're gonna make up the rest. Now, if you're somebody who likes carbs, you can go higher carb, lower fat. If you're afraid of carbs, whatever, that's totally fine. You can go lower carb, higher fat, or you can go a little bit, a mix in between. I decided to go with 1 gram per pound of carbohydrate as well. I wanted to make sure I was fueling my workout. So I had 170 grams of protein, I had 170 grams of carbohydrate. So now my fat is gonna be what's left. So every gram of protein has 4 calories. Every gram of carbohydrate has 4 calories. A gram of fat has 9 calories. Fun fact, a gram of alcohol has 7 calories. But our main macronutrients, the biggest things that are found in our diet, 4, 4, 9. So if I had 170 grams of carbohydrate times 4 calories, that's 680 calories. 170 grams of protein times 4, hey, that's easy math, I already did it, also 680. So now to get how much fat I'm gonna put in my diet, I take my 2,000 calories, I subtract 680 from it, I subtract 680 from it again, now I have what calories I have left to contribute towards fat. So 2,000 minus 680 is 640 calories left. After consuming my protein, after consuming my carbohydrate, I had 640 calories left to work with. 640 divided by 9 calories per gram for fat, so 640 divided by 9 meant I got 71 grams of fat per day. So my daily macros were gonna be 170 grams of protein, 170 grams of carbohydrate, and then 71 grams of fat. I tried my best to split those up throughout the day, so I took out my notepad and looked at my workout schedule, my meal schedule, when I'm working, all that type of stuff, and I kind of figured out when my meals were, and I tried to have about 40 grams of protein for each meal. More carbohydrates around my workout window if you want to tweak it, but you can also spread it out pretty evenly. And then I just took out my notepad and everything I ate, everything I drank, coffee with half and half, right, that's 7 grams of fat, whatever that might be. I wrote down everything. I'm an analog guy. If I use an app, I forget to open up the app. I find myself in MyFitnessPal, half the foods I'm eating aren't in there, so I need to like create a food, and it creates more work. Pen and paper is just easy for me. I just write, food. I have a column for protein, a column for carbs, a column of fat. So I'll write, 3 ounces of chicken breast. I'll Google what are the calories in chicken breast. 3 ounces is gonna be about 21 grams of protein, maybe 4 grams of fat, no carbohydrates. I had a cup of oatmeal, that's 40 grams of carbohydrates, couple grams of protein, couple grams of fat, whatever. And I just totaled that throughout the day. I tend to eat a medium breakfast. I eat very light throughout the day because I'm working, I'm moving. I don't like to feel sluggish when I work out, so I might have like a protein bar in the middle of the day or a protein shake. And then I have a big dinner. And then what I would do is after that, I would look at my breakfast. I would look at any kind of snacks I might have had, small light snacks. I'd look at my dinner. I'd total those all up and I'd compare them to my goals for the day, my 170, 170, 71, and I'd figure out what I have left. For me, I like to, after dinner, we do dinner like 6, 7 o'clock, around like 9, 10 p.m. I like to have like a second dinner. It just works well for me. I feel like I sleep better, whatever, and it just works better with my schedule. So whatever I had left at the end of the day, I'd be like, all right, I've got 20 grams of protein left, I've got 15 carbs left, I've got 10 grams of fat, and I'd think about what kind of foods I might have. All right, maybe I should have a protein shake and a small handful of almonds and an orange, right? That could have been a few ounces of like deli. One thing I like to do sometimes is take a rice cake, put some deli meat on top of it and like a slice of cheese, put it in the air fryer and just toast it for like 2 minutes and do a little like melt type of thing. And that would be like 10 carbs and 20 grams of protein, like 10 grams of fat. So that's pretty close, right? So I would just look, what do I have left? And I would eat that. So now we got to adjust. So, 2 weeks in, I was already at 159 pounds. I had already reached my goal weight. I didn't want to go any lighter than that because my goal wasn't to like lose as much weight as possible. My goal was to be as strong as possible at 162 pounds, right? So I had lost too much weight or I was ahead of schedule. So at that point, I increased my calories up by a few hundred. I went to like 2,300 calories per day, and I figured that would allow me to maintain it. And those 2,300 calories, I just added, 10, 20 grams of carbs and, something like 10, 20 grams of fat, and that ended up equating to that. So once I had reached my goal, I was like, I want to slow this down. I don't want to lose any more muscle. So I gave myself a little bit of leeway, and that should be a calorie range where I could maintain that weight a bit. Now, if I wanted to continue losing weight, maybe I would have kept it at 2,000, or if I am, let's say I had started at 2,200 and I wasn't losing enough weight, or I got to a point where I plateaued, maybe at that point I would subtract a couple hundred more calories and keep going. So over time you got to adjust. But the key thing is when you're in a diet, you got to think about, what am I going to do after this diet? How am I going to maintain? Because if I keep doing 2,000 calories forever, I'm going to keep losing weight. I'm just be a stick, right? I don't want to do that. So now if I want to maintain the body fat loss that I've lost, I feel pretty good. I look pretty good. I'm at 2,200. Maybe I'll take it up to 2,500 and see, am I still losing weight? If so, I'll take it up to 2,800, that type of thing. If I maintain at 25, then I would try to keep doing that. For me, I really liked having the weekend relaxed days. The holidays were there. I didn't want to be miserable. I didn't want to be like, have my mom come over with a cake or something like that and not be able to have some. She makes a pretty good cheesecake. So we had cheesecake on Christmas Eve. We had brunch at my sister's house. New Year's Eve, I went to a New Year's Eve party where there was a charcuterie platter and, had some meat and cheese and fruit and different things, a couple pieces of like dark chocolate, a couple drinks. I was able to maintain myself and then, be able to go back to being strict throughout the week. So that worked pretty well for me. Again, we've got a calorie maximum, we've got a protein minimum. If I have more than 170 grams of protein, that's fine, as long as I don't, break my calories. But I want to make sure At the beginning, I was staying 2,000 calories or slightly under, and at least 170 grams protein, so protein minimum, calorie maximum. Then that came up to 2,200 as I, started reaching my weight loss goal. Maybe I'll take that up to, 2,600, something like that now. I'll tweak it. So I hope that gives you guys some things to think about. Now, if you're not a tracking, weighing, measuring type of person, there are way different ways to structure nutrition that works well for you. This is more of a quantities method where I'm looking at the amounts. You could also look at quality, where you're eating something like paleo, or just eating fruits and vegetables and sweet potatoes and proteins and nuts and that type of stuff. A lot of people do really well with that sort of style. Ideally, I want to have a little bit of both. So within these, I try to eat healthier foods, but if it fits in your macros and you want to have a piece of chocolate at night or something like that. I think we traveled and had a meal at a restaurant, so I kind of worked that in my that type of thing. It'll still work. The number of calories you're having per day is going to be the predominant factor on whether or not you lose weight or not. It's not whether you had carbs or not, that type of stuff. Calories generally are king. After you've calculated calories, the next important factor is your macro split. After that, maybe your timing, you can put more carbs around meals and stuff, but you don't need to get that crazy on it. I think at the end of the day, if you're hitting your numbers, you're pretty good. And then, way down the line after that is supplements and stuff. I think, vitamin D and fish oil is great for most people, maybe a multivitamin. Beyond that, we don't really need a whole bunch. There's a lot of people out there trying to sell stuff. Just focus on your calories, focus on your macros, and see where you go from there. Last piece, Lori had asked about, she's a weight class athlete for rowing. Should she stay lean all the time, or should she try to lose that last 5 pounds? And I'd say for you, Lori, that the main question is how soon do you have to weigh in prior to competing in rowing? If you weigh in right before rowing, again, I don't want to go in dehydrated, with no carbs in my body, and because that's going to affect my performance. If you're able to weigh in like the day before or the morning of, you could certainly, eat lighter the night before, watch your fluids, weigh in the morning, and then kind of carb up and probably make weight just fine. And then by carbing up and fluiding up, you'll feel fine for your performance. But if you're weighing in like right before rowing, I think it'd be healthier to think about a month out starting that weight loss, and then try to maintain that to where you're within a couple pounds of your target weight at all times. That way you don't have to do anything drastic. All right. If I missed anything, sometimes I mix up numbers, or I'll say the wrong word and I catch it later on video and I'm like, oh, you're an idiot. So if I said something that didn't make sense, call me out on it, ask the question, I'll clarify. If you have additional questions, put them down below. I'm happy to answer. We're here to help. If you want help calculating some of this BMR stuff, shoot us an email and ask us about scheduling an InBody scan. I think they're like $25 for members, and we can calculate your macros and help you set up a plan a little bit. We do have one-on-one nutrition coaching available as well. If you'd like it, if you think you benefit from it, but if you set up a plan, you stick to it. I'll say one last thing is that you will manage what you measure. So if you're measuring something on a daily basis, it's going to be top of mind. You're going to be a lot easier to adhere to it. All right, guys, good luck out there. Thanks so much for being here.